Alright, BCA-101, 3/22/17. This is Wednesday, right after spring break. Can you believe it? This would be day 25. Alright, so we logged into Windows 8. Had to restart the computer. Networking student, IT fall 2016. We discussed a little bit some of the comments students had in terms of the social media. They were quite good, and you can go back and we'll be posting to that some more. And we talked about learning and when you can find so much online, what sets aside somebody when everybody can search? You surely won't get hired based on the fact that you can claim, I'm a good Google searcher. You know, that's not going to set you aside. So, I talked a little bit about there's some core things that bring value to the learning. Having some basic understanding so you can, for lack of a better term, think on your feet. You know, you can make a difference in a situation because you have more value than somebody else. You've learned more. You can apply more. You have a better sense of finding things online because you know what to look for. All right. What we did, took a workstation, processor, memory, storage. Also, we talked a little bit about laptops, and the last next week, the second week after spring break, we'll talk a little more about buying a laptop. Make sure we're straight on that. I got some examples. So we have these computers that connect into the network with a media access control, a MAC address, and that's how a switch remembers which computer it is. It keeps track of the MAC address from the computer network interface card connected by wire. So each one of these has a unique MAC address. All computers, all computing devices have a MAC address, sometimes referred to as a physical address. When the information then moves here through here and gets into a routing device, then it uses IP addresses for routing. Like, here's an IP address that's in this routing device, and that is the default gateway. We talk some more about that later on. We have a private IP address in a server, work server 1. And we logged into that, last name, first initial, IT Spring. We logged into that server, so again, we went from our devices here to this server, and we communicated through our device. We actually did that using PuTTY. You could do the same thing, talk more about it later on, from this public address. You could type this address from anywhere you have internet access using PuTTY and logging in with these same credentials, and so you can access this server. And we'll be accessing it for web pages future. So from the server, we have connection to a router. From the router it goes to another multi-layered switch, and then we have our connection into the internet to our ISP, which is the Iowa Communications Network. And we talked about getting DNS from Google. So here's where we talk about addressing. We have a physical address, which is the media access control address that all devices have, and then they get a logical address from a DHCP server, which would be an IP address. Nowadays, a lot of devices get a private address, And then when they go out to the internet, that gets network address translation and translates it into a public address. Same thing happens with your phone. Your phone has a media access control, and the AP access point remembers that, so the signal goes back to your phone rather than somebody else's that's connected to the same, in this case, Wi-Fi. So here's the big picture. Give you a little scenario. A packet leaves, and let's say it gets routed to the internet, goes through a bunch of routers, and ends up at Google. We, as an example in class, did a trace route so we could see all the different devices a packet went through on the way out to the internet. Now in brown, Google's going to send it back, so it's going to send it back to the IP address, this one. That'll get it to our provider, that'll get it here to campus, send it here, then it gets converted, believe it or not, back to a private address, the address for your computer. So then it comes to the switch. This router here, believe it or not, keeps your address and your MAC address. So when it comes in with the IP address, then it puts the MAC address on it, comes down here, and then goes to your PC. The rules for these communications read my writing. Rules for communications is called protocol. Alright. So, finish up. We talked about the addressing, the internet, and the entire process of a logical address, physical address, private address locally, public address used out on the internet. And that's it.